Good morning to all. Now we are going to talk about the theory of employment and income. The first session's over. So you know that employment, unemployment, and then says law. The Keynes says law. Uh, Everything is completed in this first lesson. Next, going to Keynes theory of employment and income. So introduction of Keynes theory of employment and income. First, Keynes. So, John Maynard Keynes. He was one of the most influential economists in this 20th century. He was born in Cambridge in 1883. In addition to his work as an economist, he held a position a civil servant, a director of Bank of England, and the leader of British delegation of negotiator at the Bretton Woods Conference at the point in his career. Economic theory based on his idea is known as Keynesian economics and remain highly influential today, particularly in this field of macroeconomics. Keynes wrote the book The General Theory of Employment, Interest and Money, published in 1936, is a highly significant work that marked a turning point in the development of modern economic theory. The theory of Keynes was against the belief of classical economists that the market forces in capitalistic economy adjusting themselves to attain the equilibrium. So market forces means demand, supply and price adjust the economy, and the capitalistic economy expect only for a profit motive. The Keynes not only criticized the classical economists but also advocated his own theory of employment. The Keynes theory was a general theory as it tried to explain all types of situation, not only equilibrium level of employment but also the concept of full employment as well as the possibility of underemployment. The Keynes theory of employment was based on the view of the short run. According to him, the factors of production, such as capital goods and supply of labor, technology, and efficiency of labor, remain unchanged while determining the level of employment. And another one topic is effective demand. So, the starting point of Keynes' theory of employment and income is the principles of effective demand. Effective demand denotes money actually spent by the people on product of industry. The money which entrepreneur receive paid in this form of rent, wage, interest, and profit. So the entrepreneur using the factors of production at the same times receiving the rewards of rent, wage, interest and profit. Therefore effective demand equal to national income. And then, according to Keynes, the level of employment in the economy at any time depends on the value of effective demand. So, the two determining functions of effective demand are one is the aggregate demand and another one is aggregate supply. The equilibrium level of output depends upon the relationship between these two curves. The intersection point of these two curves called aggregate demand curve and aggregate supply curve intersecting the point is called effective demand. If the war aimed to boost the economy to full employment equilibrium, the government should take that as a employment equilibrium uh, policy to be implemented by various measures by which the effective demand will goes up. So there is no automatic adjustment. There is no automatic adjustment in the economy to find the equilibrium at the full employment level. The Keynes trusted the importance of aggregate demand rather than aggregate supply in determining the employment equilibrium. An increase in this aggregate effective demand would increase in this level of employment. So the decline the income level, decline in this total effective demand would lead to unemployment. Therefore, the total unemployment of a country can be determined with the help of the total demand of a country. According to Keynes, the theory of employment, the effective demand signifies the money spent on consumption of goods and services and on investment. The total expenditure is equal to national income. The national income equal to national output. The relationship between employment and output of an economy depends on the level of effective demand, which is determined by the forces of aggregate supply and aggregate demand. So ED equal to Y equal to C plus I equal to output equal to employment. The effective demand determine the level of employment in the economy. While effective demand increases, the employment will increases. When the effective demand when the effective demand decreases, the level of employment will decline. The effective demand will be determined by the two determinant, namely one is a consumption and another one is a investment expenditure. So consumption function depends upon the income of the people and marginal propensity to consume, and the investment expenditure is a depends upon the entrepreneur. And then marginal propensity to consume, formula for MPC. MPC. MPC means MPC, change in consumption divided by change in savings. And then, uh, according to Keynes, if the income increases, consumption will also increase, but less than increase in income. So MEC means marginal efficiency of capital, and the MEC was first introduced by J.M. Keynes in the year of 1936 as an important determinant of autonomous investment. And then the rate of interest and marginal efficiency of capital determine the investment level. The rate of interest depends on money supply and liquidity preference. And then the liquidity preference means the Keynes has given the importance of the concept of liquidity preference. The liquidity preference is based on the three motives, namely transaction motive, precautionary motive, and then speculative motive. Transaction motive means the people desire to hold cash for day to day transaction. And then precautionary motive means the unexpected incident. Example for accident, fire is occur. At the same time, the people to hold the cash for unforeseen conditions, unforeseen incident. So third one is a speculative motive. The people desire to hold cash for uh, future purpose. Example for business person to start the business, and then start constructing industry, and purchasing materials, and to purchase bonds and securities, everything to collect in future means the people hold cash for present. So that effect, that motives is called speculative motives. That speculative motive only related for rate of interest. And another one is a marginal efficiency, MEC, marginal efficiency of capital is that depends on two factors, namely prospective yield of capital, and another one is a capital assets and supply price of capital. And then next topic is aggregate demand function. In the Keynes model, the output is determined mainly by aggregate demand. Aggregate demand is the amount of money which entrepreneur expect to get by selling the output produced by the number of labors employed. Therefore, it is expected income or revenue from the sale of output at the different level of employment. The aggregate demand has the following four component. One is a consumption demand, and another one is a investment demand. Third one is a expenditure demand, and fourth one is a net export. Next export include for export minus import. And the first one is a consumption demand. So demand for goods and services by individual and household in the economy, also transfer payment made by the government that do not result into the provisions of your goods and services. And the second one is investment demand. The demand by business for the physical or capital goods and services used to maintain or expand its operation. And third one is the government expenditure, includes all government consumption, investment and transfer payment. And the last one is a net export and minus imports அப்படிங்க. The desire or planned demand spending in this amount that household, firm and government and the foreign purchase would like to spend the domestic output. So desire, the demand in the economy, is the sum of total desired private consumption expenditure and desired investment expenditure and desired government spending and desired net export. Net export means the differences between export and import. So the desired spending is called aggregate spending. The aggregate demand expressed in this terms of the equation AD equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus M. Let us see the diagram. First, x-axis measure for employment and y-axis measure for aggregate demand. So aggregate demand, the price increases or decreases with an increase or decrease in this volume of employment. Let us see the diagrams carefully. AD is aggregate demand. Aggregate demand increasing at an increasing rate. So aggregate demand increases, at the same time employment also increases at the particular point. After the point, the decreasing at an increasing rate in the aggregate demand curve. So aggregate demand curve increasing at an increasing rate in this beginning, and then increasing at a decreasing rate. This is so that an income increases, so owing to increase in employment expenditure of the economy increasing at an decreasing rate. At the first starting the point, aggregate demand increasing at the particular point, after that decreasing at an increasing rate. And then AD, already I told AD means C plus I plus G X minus M. And another one topic is aggregate supply function. Aggregate supply function is an increasing functions of the level of employment. Aggregate supply refers to the value of total output of goods and services produced in an economy in the year. In other words, aggregate supply is equal to the value of national product and national income. So next one, the aggregate supply refers to required amount of labor and materials to produce the necessary output. So employers hire laborers, purchase various input and raw materials to produce goods. Thus, the productions involve cost. If the revenue from the sale of output produced exceeds the cost of production at the given level of employment and output, the entrepreneur would be encouraged to employ more labor and other input to produce more. So aggregate supply price is the total amount of money that all the entrepreneur in an economy expect to receive from the sale of output produced by given the number of labors employed. The term price refers to the amount of money received from the sale of output, sales proceeds. Hence, where there are different aggregate prices for the different levels of employment. The component of aggregate supply. First one is an aggregate consumption expenditure. So C indicating for consumption, and aggregate private savings. Private savings means indicating for yes. And next one is a net tax payment. T indicating for net tax payment. The total tax payment to be received by the government. So all types of payment received by the government minus transfer payment and subsidy and interest payment to be incurred by the government. And fourth one is a personal desired transfer payment to be the foreigners. RF means transfer payment to the foreigners. So example for donation to international relief effort, and the welfare and financial aid, social security and government making the subsidy for the certain business. And then transfer payment means government of consumption, investment and transfer payment. So aggregate supply equal to C plus S plus T plus RF, aggregate income generated in the economy. So you see, next you see the aggregate supply curve. First, the shape of the two aggregate supply curve drawn for the assumption of the fixed money, wages and variables. First you see the diagrams carefully. First, x-axis measure for employment and y-axis a measure for expected proceeds. And then z1 is z1 and z's are curve in the picture. Z curve is a linear where money wages remains fixed, and the z1 curve is a non-linear since the wage rate increases with employment. When full employment level, you see the diagram, x-axis nf is the full employment level. So reach it's impossible to increase the output of by employing more men. So aggregate supply curve, already I told aggregate supply curve is a z1 is a aggregate supply curve. Aggregate supply curve is a vertical, is a straight line. The slope of the aggregate supply curve depends upon the relationship between employment and productivity. The capital stock is often fixed, and hence the law of diminishing marginal returns to take place as a more workers are employed based upon the relationship. The aggregate supply curve can be expected to slope upward. So Z1 is a slope upward. So employment and employment also increased. So more labors are worked. And then in reality, aggregate supply curve will be Z1, and aggregate supply curve depends upon the relationship between these two. One is a price and another one is a wages. If the prices are high and the wages low, the producer will try to employ labors. If the prices are low, the wages is high, investment will be is curtailed. The output will fall and there will be a reduction in the productive capacity. So aggregate supply is an important factor in determining the level of the economic activity. And then aggregate supply curve is a vertical straight line. Aggregate supply curve depends upon the relationship between this price and wages. These are also explained this aggregate supply curve. And next one is equilibrium between ADF and ASF. The Keynes theory of employment explain a two-sector economy consists of one is the household sector and another one is a business sector. the equilibrium between ADF and ASF. All the decisions concerning consumption expenditure are taken by the individual household, while the business firm take the decision concerning investment. It is assumed that the consumption function is a linear and planned investment is a autonomous. So next, there are the two approaches to determination of the equilibrium level of the income and Keynesian theory. One is aggregate demand and aggregate supply approach. Second one is a savings and investment approach. So let us see the picture. First, you clearly observing this picture. First, x-axis measure for employment and y-axis measure for proceed and cost. And then next, you see the diagram. The red curve is a aggregate demand curve and the blue curve is aggregate supply curve. See the diagram, aggregate demand and aggregate supply intersecting the point is called equilibrium point. At the equilibrium point, measure the equilibrium employment level is the N0. N0 is the employment level. Let us see the diagram. So M1 and N1. So M1 and N1 is a, they are able to produce the level of employment. So M1 and N1 is a, they are able to produce, and then expected level of profit is M1 R1. You see the diagram, M1 and R1 is a, that gap is a expected profit, expected level of the profit, and then N1 and N0. You see the gap of employment. So N1 and N0 is a full employment level. And then next one is a N0 and NF. NF is a unemployment level. You see the diagram, N0 and NF is a unemployment level. So the entrepreneur to produce the product means to attaining the loss of N0 and NF. The reason for after the equilibrium point, the entrepreneur produce the product. At the time to expecting for the loss, the aggregate supply curve indicating loss to the producer. The reason for aggregate demand above aggregate demand curve is below the aggregate supply curve. So that curve indicating the loss to the producer. Hence, they will never employ more than ON0 labor. The effective demand concept becomes a crucial point in determining the equilibrium level of output in this capitalistic economy or a free market economy in this Keynesian systems. And then N1 point is a full employment level, and N0 NF the differences is the unemployment level. The effective demand becomes significant in explaining unem- under the employment equilibrium. So once again repeated this diagram. uh, AS is a aggregate supply and AD is a aggregate demand. These two intersecting point is called a equilibrium point. So equilibrium point like employment level indicating for O NO is an equilibrium level of employment. And then ON1 is a employment. ON1 is a employment. The aggregate supply is a N1 R1. So N1 R1 is a aggregate supply, but they are able to produce the level is a M1 and N1. The expected level of profit is a M1 R1 is a expected profit. To attain this level of profit, entrepreneur will employ more labor used to produce. So labor will stop once they reach the point equilibrium level at the all the level of employment beyond the O N O. After that, you decided to produce the producer to make the loss. The reason for aggregate supply is increasing, aggregate demand is below. So that entrepreneur to making the loss. So next one is a comparisons of classical and Keynesianism. So Keynesianism short-run equilibrium analysis and classicalism is a long-run equilibrium analysis. So short-run equilibrium means to making a higher profit and long runs to making for normal profit. Savings is a vice, and classicalism savings is a social virtue to the social motive to um, used. And third one is a macro approach to national problems. So every problem Keynesianism analysis for macro approach to solving the national problems. And then uh, classicalism is a micro foundation to solve the macro problems. And the Keynesianism is a rate of interest is a flow, and classicalism rate of interest is a stock. Already you know that stock variables and flow variables also you know that. And the demand creates its own supply is a classicalism, and Keynesianism. And then classicalism supply creates its own demand. These points are explain the comparison of classicalism and Keynesianism. And then next, the theories of employment and income, it is important to the classical theory analysis. The Keynes challenged the classical economic theory regarding to the merits and state intervention in the market, and everything is analyzed in this classical theory of Keynes. Keynesianism explained everything. And then once again, I repeated the points. அதாவது what are the important or there in the session. Aggregate demand, effective demand. Effective demand means the amount of money which entrepreneur expect to get by the output product. And then aggregate demand means the household, firm, and government and foreign purchase would like to spend on the domestic output. These are also included for aggregate demand. And then aggregate supply means the value of total output of goods and services produced in the economy in the year. And then marginal propensity to consume. Marginal MPC means additional changes in income. So income change means and consumption also changes. And then money supply, the total stock of money circulating in an economy. These are also included in this topic. So this session is completed. Once again I repeated the important point. Aggregate supply curve and equilibrium between the ADF and ASF, and then aggregate demand function and effective demand, these are also included in this topic. And then effective demand means total output equal to employment equal to total income equal to consumption plus invest expenditure. These are also included for effective demand. And then this topic is over. And then next session continue to another topic. Thank you, students.